or things of this type that have been proven. Those are live organics. Yes, we do add your honey and apple cider vinegar. We also add kelp because we are so low on kelp in most areas that we live in. If we use a lot of black walnut or elderberry or something of this type, we're going to get some iodine. We're going to get some kelp adults transformed. By biological transmutation, the black walnut has the ability to take lower type of minerals and make into them, by changing the molecular structure, a new type of mineral. And this is where we get in the black walnut, as an example, which maybe is 1,000 miles from any sea life, anywhere where we get kelp adults, rich in iodine, extremely rich. And that is by biological transmutation. We do add now some molasses, preferably black strap, high in iron. We have so much loss in iron through menstrual problems and things of this type that a good black strap molasses, and be sure that it isn't highly commercialized. This is one of the sad things we have today, but this is very beneficial. As far as the cayenne is concerned, we'll go into that more when we get into the herbs in the next day or two, but that cayenne should be taken at least 6 days a week. There are certain materials that we leave out of our diet, and this is the hard part of the lecture today. This is the part that we don't like to hear, but it's there, so I'm just telling you. Yes?
I've got 3 questions on what we just went over. Blackstrap molasses, you say, is it also all right to use Barbados molasses?
Barbados, I think, has been refined a couple of times more than your blackstrap. I brought some Barbados in, and I wasn't happy with it, really.
And how do you feel about bee pollen? And is it all right to take it, in what quantities, how to take it?
I haven't done much research on bee pollen. I've used some of it, and I can see nothing but good in it. Nothing but good. And the third one?
Hydrochloric acid. If you've got a hyper production of hydrochloric acid in your stomach, the apple cider vinegar neutralizes that?
Yes, the apple cider vinegar and the honey will neutralize. Not neutralize, but it'll bring it down to the amount that you want. And if you have not enough, it'll bring it up. Our whole program, as you go through, you'll weed this out. Our whole program is not to work on the effect. Go out and buy the hydrochloric acid or the Alka-Seltzer or something else, but go to the cause. Now, all the way through, you'll hear me pushing cause. And the cause, let's go to the original, and that would be the bottom third of the stomach.
So you would take 1 tablespoon of honey and 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, 8 ounces of water. Does it matter when you take it? Can you sip it during the day, or should you take it after a meal? Or?
It's better, really, the way most of us have lived, to take it 15 or 20 minutes before before mealtime.
20 minutes before bed.
Yeah, before mealtime. Before mealtime. So it will have a good empty place to work on. We'll get fast results that way.
Is it necessary to have the honey in there?
Yes, it is. Yes, this is part of the program, that honey. You could substitute something else, but you won't get the results.
Can you take your herb supplements with this as a drink?
Oh, yes. Yes, you can. But with me, one little glass doesn't last too long.
Have you heard Dr. Manner's explanation of apple cider drink that he puts in a culture I have a friend that went to his cancer clinic, and they have culture. They drop in a culture, and the apple juice and in the grape juice, that all the fructose leaves, and then they eat it. It takes 24 hours. They drink it. They said that it's not good for you.
They say it's not good for you? I should be dead because I drank a lot of it.
And the natural way, I don't know, he said for people that are sick now, she wanted to give me a culture, and I told Bob it tastes too much like wine to me.
It does, and it has a little, yeah, this particular culture I used for a while, and I didn't get the results I wanted, so I discontinued it, but there are a lot of people that are drinking it.
Like he said, is the fructose bad for people that are sick? That is in the apple?
The fructose is wonderful if it's in the natural state, but when it's processed, you're in trouble.
He's supposed to drink a gallon of that, and then he switches to the grape, and he's just getting sicker.
I guess he's bringing toxins out faster than he can accumulate.
I think that's what it is.
It could be. I'm speaking off the top of the hat, and I shouldn't diagnose and prescribe from a distance without seeing the case, but that's what it looks like.
Is it okay to take more than a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar and honey? I got to the place where I got used to it. I actually really like the flavor of it. And I find myself making a cup full of it. And, well, not full of it. I don't use 8 ounces of water, and I use more apple cider vinegar. I don't even measure it. And I just sweeten it to taste and fill up enough water to fill the cup. And I sip it. Is that too much?
The computerization of the human body is such that it'll accept what it needs and throw off that which it doesn't need. Now, do you follow me here? I've had patients that enjoy it so much that they would take an extra cup or two a day, because when they felt a little bit low, they would take this as a beverage. It can't do you any harm. You'll throw off, because it's still live material, you throw off what you don't need.
I have read where you take this apple cider vinegar and honey, and you add the molasses to that, and it's an aid for arthritis or joint stiffness. Is that,
Yes, you could take all of our supplements and add them together that we've recommended, but when the oil's in it, one thing or another, isn't that good. You have to take to your own taste. No, it is good. Your blackstrap molasses is an aid, but it can be taken alone or with the other. We had a farmer patient that took the blackstrap and not only cleared his arthritis, but he cleared his bowels and everything else. And he said it finally took all these years to find out why the cows were always wanting that blackstrap. Huh? He found out.
You mentioned fructose in its natural state. Do you mean by eating the fruit?
The fruit itself.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Now, the fructose that you buy in the health food stores is refined, isn't that?
Very refined.
And that is our fructose that's put in things in the health food stores.
We're not for it all the way, no. A little bit once in a while, yes, I guess, if you can throw it off. But I thought at one time it was really the thing. And with a little investigation, I changed my opinion. All right, so here, these are things that we add to our diet because we have come from a lineup of bodies that have been run down. The hydrochloric acid in our ancestral trait is not the right percentage, not the right amount, too much or too little, other things. And so these are why we add these. And then when we get to a point where we're in a perfect condition, we don't have to go on using them. Or if we wish, we may. Because each of them that I have mentioned are foods. Your cayenne is a terrific food. It is not a medicine or a drug, but it is a food. Yes.
How much blackstrap molasses do we use?
A tablespoon.
3 times a day?
Well, some people can't take that much. It's awfully rich. So you got to adjust to yourself. But if you can take that much, fine. But at least a tablespoon a day.
A little laxative?
Yes, it is. This is what I mentioned at the sugar factories. You get the black strap before it has been worked over anymore. When it first comes from the sugars, and it is nasty. I mean, it's awful. But boy, does it do well anyhow. Yes, Now there are some things that we eliminate from our diet. Now these things that we eliminate, the sad part is they are things that our taste bud says, oh boy, you half-wit, don't drop those. But it's there. The number one thing, and one of the hardest ones to break, is salt. Salt. Do you know that if you take some salt in your hand, you notice how small those little grains are? Count 20 of those grains out. And the average individual cannot assimilate more than 20 grains in a 24-hour period. More than that, it's accumulative. And accumulation is where your eyes go off on you because it causes hardening of the arteries, and that's one of the first places it spots. And then it will cause trouble throughout the entire body. Salt is vicious, and if you want to get away from it, there are ways. You can get Bronner's or Dr. Jensen's natural salt. Now this is actual salt. This is pure salt, but it's a different kind of salt. It's salt from the herb thereof. They take your vegetation and dehydrate it and take the salt out of it there, and it's still live organic salt. Bronner, I think, has been a little more accurate in the past. I don't know how it is now. He what?
But I haven't visited him lately.
Well, he used to be very fussy about not putting any rock salts or anything in. And he stayed just with vegetation. Now, Dr. Jensen for a while put some rock salt in. Now, I don't know. Yes? In which one? Dr. Jensen doesn't use it now? Excellent. Excellent. It's not on the label. Well, that was nicely put.
My husband calls the supermarkets the salt pellets.
You know, he's a pretty smart cookie. The salt palace. I like that.
They say no preservative, no preservative. There's always salt, and that's a preservative.
That's one of the, yeah, how did this pickle their codfish? Well, anyhow, just leave the salt out. But if you wish, I'll give you a key that if you don't want to use your organic salts, because they're a little hard to get sometimes, use black pepper. And black pepper, it's got more character in 1 minute than salt has in a month. And you'll learn to like it.
Dr. Norman Walker says that black pepper is irritant to the kidneys.
Dr. Walker and I have talked since his publication on that, and he's apologetic on that. You see, Dr. N.W. Walker is one of the greats. He's 117 now, I guess. Still alive and kicking hard. You know, Dr. Walker has given something here that we've got to watch for in our whole program, and that is a half-truth. All right? It's very conscientiously given, because that half-truth is this. Black pepper is one of the most horrible irritants and is damaging to the kidneys and the bladder, etc., 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 if it's cooked. All right, but black pepper, freshly ground, is one of the finest foods that we have got. A stimulant, and it's good for the digestive juices to stimulate them. Black pepper is one of the greats, but it must be taken raw. And when you make a salad, grind it on fresh, or in any of your casseroles or anything else, grind it on. But he is very truly stated when he says it is an irritant when it is cooked. But let's make the whole answer.
of the Oriental, miso and tamari.
Here today and gone tomorrow. Well, there's some inorganic in it, but when they can put on the label that it is all organic, fine. Dr. Jensen put out some organic that could be assimilated.
What do you mean by that? I'm not sure. It's usually loaded with salt.
Yeah, nearly all of them.
Right.
But he used, I think, the vegetized.
Quick sip it's called.
Is that what it is? And it's good. It can be assimilated, and to me, it's just as potent in taste. But it's not a dead inorganic that can be only accepted into the body. It can be assimilated. We now will switch from salt, and that's one of the, you know, I was past 30 years of age before I actually knew what a tomato tasted like. It was past 30 before I ever was brave enough to eat a tomato without salt on it. And by this time I had found out that my taste buds had finally got adjusted, and that tomato was delicious. Not like the garbage we get out of the hot houses now, but it was good. Absolutely. The taste bud becomes paralyzed, and we lose its... Now, we say no egg should be eaten in any form. The reason we have said that is because to get good eggs and do it properly is almost an impossibility today. If you can watch your poultry grow and you feed it well and see it's got plenty of chlorophyll, see that it's on live food, and see that it is running loose, well, you got a little better chance. At least to eat the yolk of the egg, because the yolk of the egg is where much of your food value is, and that can be mixed in juice and used this way. The white of the egg is high cholesterol. It is, well, in fact, before they put glue on the stamps, the United States government notified people that if they wish to fasten their stamp onto an envelope, to dip the stamp in the yolk of the white of the egg, and it would stay, and it wouldn't come off again.
Dr. Jensen said that in an egg which is raw or just very lightly cooked, heated, that there's enough lecithin in it to balance out the cholesterol. That's how nature put it together like that. But when it's cooked, the lecithin is destroyed, and you just have a cholesterol.
If it is cooked very lightly, yes, but I very seldom ever see anybody that'll eat it in that condition. What's that? Once more. Well, I could picture myself trying to eat, no, some people can, but what I'm talking about now to stay away from are your commercial eggs. If any of you have seen the hotels where these chickens stay, they're so big square, and if you watch the chickens, they have rubbed off their wing feathers and their tail feathers, and they are crippled, and they're walking around on their elbows, whatever you call them, and they got sores on them. But they are continuing to stay in that hotel room until they have quit laying lots of eggs. They're well checked. They're given an egg mash. When their egg production has dropped off, then these sickly poor souls are, well, Colonel Harmon, Colonel Harmon and some of the rest of them vie for buying them up in large quantity. And the reason, the United States government now has passed a law which states that any animal or bird that has cancer in it or injury of any type, that injured area may be removed and the balance can be sold. That's why we have so many sails on wings and legs and necks.
They also leave the lights on all night, you know, before they go to Colonel Sanders or Campbell. And they give them speed to make them produce eggs faster.
I was just going to say, in San Diego, we had a test recently. The government came in, and I believe it was 200 and something units on the eggs. And when they're first laid, I believe it's about 4 or 5 units, isn't it? And every week it doubles. And we had a bad disease in San Diego, and nobody could get eggs. And we know a Safeway manager. And of course, they dip the eggs so the oxygen can't come in and the fluids can't go out. And he said, I was sure glad that happened, because we found eggs that we finally got them out of our warehouse from 9 years ago. So you can imagine the cholesterol in those eggs.
No, very tasty. You know, when you're buying eggs on the market, though, you are playing Russian roulette, because you can have a chance of getting trichomoniasis, blackhead, coccidiosis, roup, you can get cancer, etc., etc., etc. It's in those eggs. I have tested them. We have tested them under high microscope. We have seen so many things that are frightening that sometimes you wonder. And yet, they taste good. Well, now you got to make the decision. We eliminate sugar and sugar products. We do not cross out honey, maple syrup, properly made, blackstrap, properly made. These are acceptable. We are talking about refined sugars. These are so vicious, and very few people realize how bad they are. But the first thing they do, as they go into solution, the first place they hit is the vein. And when they hit the vein, they have the power of drawing, leaching from the vein, the natural calcium. The sugar versus calcium is vicious, and it causes varicosity. When a woman is nursing a baby, drinking a lot of pop, sugars in her coffee, etc., 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 a lot of pastries, that baby is going to suffer. The mother will suffer. This is a sad thing, but it can be changed.
How about fructose? Did you comment on fructose?
We have. Yes, we have. That's refined. Yes. I even tried it out once. And I liked it. Darn it.
Could you comment on this controversy about feeding infants under like a year of age honey? If it can,
Honey can be assimilated if it is put into solution in water or something, not straight, of course. Of course, we know that prior to cutting the eye teeth and stomach teeth, number 5 and 6, number 5 and 6, prior to cutting those, no baby can assimilate protein or starch, but they can assimilate sugars. There's only one problem in giving honey before they are weaned. They will lose their taste for the milk. And this is one of our biggest problems. And so the honey should go into the mother, and from the mother into the milk, if you want to get some honey in there.
I'm not sure. I think what she was referring to, my sister-in-law, the nurse, and she was telling me that you're not supposed to feed a baby raw honey up to about age 1 because of the bacteria. And that can be kind of detrimental. But after age 1, it's okay. And if you want to give them honey, it should be, cooked honey. That's what the profession.
Bacteria can't grow in honey.
What's that?
Bacteria cannot grow.
Definitely not. This is one thing. There is an error here that man's information is mixed in with pure knowledge.
There's the possibility in some children that may have genetic weaknesses in the liver, and enzyme and amino acid buildup and breakdown, and honey may affect that in very small babies. So it's just a very rare case, but they issue a general rule to try to protect everyone.
And so what that baby is actually doing is breaking its toxic poisons out a little bit faster, and it's beneficial to it. but it causes a flare-up and they warn against.
Just recently an article published in the newspaper in British Columbia about California doctors finding botulism in honey. I couldn't believe that myself. But
I can believe it in one way, because down there, and I'm sorry to say it, and in some other places too, they feed the bees sugar syrup, and that changes the picture.
And also the orchards in California are the most heavily sprayed areas of the whole North America.
I'm glad I don't live down there.
That's what I was going to say.
Oh, well, cooked honey, that changes the picture again.
Bees die on cooked honey.
No, cooked honey is dead honey.
So organisms could live in cooked honey then?
Oh, definitely, but not raw. No, we're the raw kids.
Also, some companies dilute their honey with water, and once you dilute it, it can...
Yes, that loses its power
They
there.
also heat it high to extract it too.
Yes.
Babies getting sudden death syndrome from honey.
That's what they're saying.
I've heard of this.
Oh, well, if it were, I'd like to know the facts, because I would know that it was either cooked or something else. Well, here, our next one is, of course, the one we've talked about before, is meat. Every cancer patient is the number one to be pulled off of meat, because red meats, that is a food for cancer. We all know these things. We keep away from red meats because they are killers. And sooner or later, we'll come around to the program of living on live food. Here we have got, with our meats, trouble. And there is never anything but trouble. There are books written on it, and we'll get you more material on this. But if you want to clear the body of cancer, if you want to clear the body of any types of diseases, number one, cut out the red meats. Number two, cut out your sugars, of course.
Can you cut them off the red meat right away? Or should you do it in progression?
Our program has been, over the years, to meat eaters, is to cut the red meat and stay on chicken and poultry for a short period of time, and then taper them off gradually.
Is wild game also constant turn?
Yes, definitely so. Not as bad. Not as bad.
it's got a lot more parasites than wild game. It's full of parasites.
Yes, more protein.
Talking about wild game, recently I went to a Native American feast and they served elk, which they had just killed, and I said, well, maybe I should taste it because it's wild. I never tasted it. I got deadly sick.
Did you?
Oh wow, did I? Every bit of it I just gave back.
Well,
And I didn't eat very much, I just ate a little bit.
I could tell you stories on elk dinners. I used to play for them every year. I was featured at the elk dinners, and I would have a band there, and we'd have a real time, and they'd give us a great big thick elk steak.